Hello and welcome to today's episode of Academy21's podcast. In today's episode, we're thinking about career moves and the reasons why some teachers move from mainstream and take the decision to work in alternative provision. Our guest speaker today, joining me for the podcast, is Rob Taylor, our Head of Maths at Academy21. And Rob, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So I'm Rob Taylor. I'm currently, as Amy said, the Head of Maths here at Academy21. I've been teaching for well over 10 years now across a range of different mainstream schools, ranging from schools that have sort of 500-600 students up to schools that have 2,500 students. So lots of experience working in sort of what you might describe as the bricks and mortar setting. And have been working with Academy21 for about 6 months now.
Fantastic, thank you. It's always interesting from our point of view when we recruit new staff, particularly to roles such as yours, why they're interested in the move into alternative provision. I know for me, my background is in SEND, so qualified as a SENCO many years ago, and worked throughout mainstream my whole career, but I had a real special interest in alternative provision and special educational needs, and so wanted to focus my leadership skills and my time on the students who I felt needed the expertise the most. And I'm sure it's the same for many of our teachers. So can I pose the question to you, Rob? Having recently been in bricks and mortar schools and mainstream setting, I'm curious to know your reasons, the first thoughts you had about joining alternative provision, and crucially, the why.
Of course, yeah. So I think, like you said, having worked in sort of mainstream schools for a long time, it became more and more apparent to me the reason for me getting into teaching was that I wanted to help students become successful, become more confident with a subject that I was really passionate about. And, certainly over the last sort of 5 years, you feel that some students have really struggled to be successful in school, for one reason or another. And you do start thinking about ways that you can try and, impact their lives more than you are doing. And I think having seen the role pop up for Academy21, I'd never really heard of this sort of alternative provision before. So it was really interesting to look into, and now, I've seen sort of firsthand how students benefit from that sort of more focused provision, that more focused sort of time, sort of pastorally and academically. And the way that the small groups that we use have such a huge benefit on some of the students who have struggled to keep up pace with sort of modern education for one reason or another.
We see our setting at Academy21, we see a huge range of needs in terms of the students who are enrolled with us. So, it could be medical reasons. It could be because they're having emotionally based school avoidance. They have real anxiety about attending a physical site. Sometimes it's home circumstances. Sometimes it's preference. We see a whole range of different students and different needs come through our virtual doors. And I think it's like you said, seeing firsthand the impact that you can have, in a smaller group where, your teaching expertise and your skill can be used to maximum effect for things like adaptive teaching, scaffolding, questioning in the moment. But also, as you quite rightly pointed out there, something that is so important to all of us, the pastoral side of that, the benefits that students have from a pastoral perspective because of the smaller groups, but also because the teacher has more time and their professional development is tailored so that they can support students' emotional development in the very best way possible. So, yeah, I completely concur with your reasons for the move to AP. Have you noticed any significant differences in terms of what you're able to do in a lesson, in a classroom with students when you think about a bricks and mortar setting, mainstream, compared with an alternative provision online?
Yeah, I think that was probably the main difference that I experienced. Obviously, there's lots of things that are different about teaching online. But I think, the experience of having sort of a virtual class in front of you rather than a physical one, it brings with it challenges and positives, I think, in equal measure. I think it does allow you to really broaden your range of teaching strategies. I think the ability for you to access lots of different technological resources and tools to allow you to engage students in ways that weren't possible before. I think, we have multiple choice polls on the screen that pop up, to allow us to judge understanding and allow us to adapt our teaching as and when we need to, which are just so much quicker and snappier than they would have been in a bricks and mortar school. You get sort of probably higher engagement from students with the fact that they're potentially working either, in their own personal space or potentially in a space with a couple of other students, but you do end up getting a high level of engagement for one reason or another. And like I said, that really does lend itself to you then being able to adapt your teaching much more effectively than you would do in a sort of a usual school setting, I guess.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know we talk about no students being left behind, and that is essentially what we mean, that because the teacher has the opportunity and the time to work with students on a more personal level, one-to-one level, in breakout rooms, etc., they get a much more personalised version of adaptive teaching that's responsive to their own individual needs. And that's something that I've seen tenfold when popping in and out of lessons and seeing the benefits firsthand that our students have. And then ultimately watching them flourish throughout their education, and oftentimes ending with a set of GCSEs that they're really, really proud of. And we're confident that we're sending them off into the world with, having reached their potential, which is awesome for us as educators. We could talk about this all day, and I know that your list will be very, very long in terms of your best bits, your favourite bits of working online. But Rob, I wonder if you could, if it's possible, could you narrow down your favourite thing about working, not just online, but your favourite thing about working in alternative provision?
I'll try my best. Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that the number of positives that I've experienced since moving is huge. And I could sit here for a long, long time and explain how, I feel more energetic and more passionate about education than I ever have. But I imagine the main reason that most teachers get into education is having the ability to work with students and grow with them and help them sort of experience success and gain confidence. And I think at Academy21, that is something that sticks out massively for me, more than it ever has, I think, in terms of knowing and understanding that the work that we do helps these students, as we mentioned, both academically and pastorally, to experience some sort of success in their lives, whether that's within maths or within science or within all the other courses that are offered. It's more important than anything, I think, because the students that we sometimes come across, or mostly come across, are students who have struggled in one aspect of their life, and sometimes success for them isn't always the most normal thing in their lives. And I think for us to be able to work with them and experience that journey with them and see them come to us, sometimes low on confidence, sometimes low on self-esteem, and build them and work with them to allow them to flourish, like you said, and come away with a set of GCSEs or whatever it might be that they're working towards, is an amazing feeling. And just, seeing the change in their mindset, in their confidence. And like you said, when you boil teaching down, that is what we're here for, really, at the end of the day. And I feel like at Academy21, I experienced that a whole lot more than I did previously.
Makes complete sense, and I couldn't agree more. Being able to offer thousands of students across the UK the opportunity to experience, like you said, academic success, but also personal success, that building of self-esteem and confidence is just, it's magic. And it's also my favourite part of the job. But I think it takes a very special teacher to be able to, A, work in alternative provision, and B, really enjoy it and get the best out of their students. So I want to thank you for joining us for the podcast today, Rob. But more than that, I want to thank you for joining Academy21, because it's teachers like you and leaders like you that make such an enormous difference to the students that we serve.
Thank you very much.
That's it for today. We hope you enjoyed listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
You've been listening to the Alternative Provision podcast from Academy21, accredited online provision for students in years 5 to 11. Learn more at academy21.co.uk.